Welcome, everyone. Today is December 6th, 2017, Wednesday, better known in the old Wiccan ways as Odin's Day in the old craft. And today we're going to kind of have a not so much total retrospective, but we will be doing somewhat of a retrospective. See how the beginning of the year began, go through some stuff that we created. There was compositions created earlier, revisit them, and then make a journey throughout the year. But with the lunar phase, phase is shifting into a lunar consciousness for this time, as we're still in the full moon phase. And there's a it's called the cold moon, super full moon, that if you just step outside and watch that moon rising, it's similar, very much similar to the moon that you're looking at tonight. Hope everyone's well. We're in the early months, like early days of December, so the nights are long and the days are short. And we just got our first blast of cold wind yesterday. Monday it was 65, 68 degrees, a record high, and Tuesday morning it was 25 degrees with a 50-mile-an-hour wind that was sustained, well, gusts, but sustained wind of 35 miles an hour the entire day. Hopefully everybody made it okay. The winds have subsided somewhat, but they're still out there a little bit. So we've had about a day and a half of winds. Imagine what it would be like if we could harvest that wind for a solar farm or wind farm. We would not need any coal-fired electricity whatsoever, and no natural gas either. So it could be a win-win situation with the wind. Think about that. Win-win situation with the wind. Let the woodwinds of early December be a balmy Gilead of the divine in the inner heart, in the inner sanctuary of our heart mind. Because this is not just a mind show, it's a mind and heart together. Heart, mind, heart song, mind, heart. And there's actually with math, there's a new form of math called heart math. People who love math and science maybe want to get involved in heart math. Joseph Chilton Pierce has a lot of work in that area. He's a wonderful educator. P-E-A-R-C-H-C-E. Joseph Chilton Pierce. It's called, I think he's called Evolution's End. And considering that we're at the year's end, and we're certainly shifting from one epoch or one era to another, although the dominant paradigm would want us to believe in one particular dispensation or era. It's a short time served. It's huff and puff. It's whip and poof, and it doesn't have any foundations. It's built on sand. But the era that's shifting in the new dispensation, a little bit more like New Atlantis or New Jerusalem. And in these dark times, and it's not just the physical lack of sunlight, there's people are really been distorted with the news distortion coming out of the White House, and its full-time emanation of vibrations or hate speech, and disregard of fellow human beings based on race, creed, religion, age, or gender is at an all-time low. So let's take some time and step away from the dominant paradigm and soak ourselves in something that has substance and content for a deeper transformation into this new Jerusalem era or epoch we're going into. That's a lot being said, but we're living in these times when we're being distorted 8 different directions, and people are turn their head one way. It's taking away the Escalante staircase from the Hopi and the American public through the declaration of President Obama or Clinton. by this current number 45, and then it's something else, and then they want to take away public lands to turn them into private enterprise for mining and dredging and pipelines. And that's to take over our precious sacred heirloom sites, the sacred spaces that are part of the seventh generation yet to come, something we bequeath to the next generation. And they want to cut that out and just drill it and mine it for all it's worth, for greed, for the coal companies, the mining companies, the gas companies. Basically King Kong, coal, oil, nuclear, and gas. They want uranium, you name it. These bastards of greed and are predators of the planetary plunder, and they don't care about you, your progeny. That's just one thing, right? You got the monuments, removal of national historic scenic monuments and sacred sites. That's yesterday. Today they want to move from Israel. They want to move the U.S. 45th president wants to move the U.S. ambassadorship from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, which is against everyone in the world. Not everyone, but quite a few people are very, very upset. So this dude's trying to retweak it. Here it comes again. Now that's today. The other day it was the tax bill, which is basically undoing, well, attempting to undo. Hasn't been done yet. 50 years of progressive humanistic legislation for education, for the environment, for grad students, for the monuments that we're talking about, for the Environmental Protection Agency, for the endangered species, for clean water, clean air. All of these would have their funding ceased under this tax bill, which robs from the poor and gives to the rich, the greedy. That's the attempt to totally, especially at this time of the season of giving, to take away from the poor what little they have, including grad students and students of all kinds, little people, the least of these, and take whatever little bit they have and give it to the super greedy. Call them the rich, but let's call them for what they are, the super greedy. Yeah, that's right. And then the estate tax that your dear senator from Iowa, Grassley, says that these people deserve more money, these billionaires deserve more money because the little people, all they do, they don't save their money, quote, they use their money for women, booze, and movies. But what kind of world is this dude living in? Grassley, shame on you. Of course you want to walk that back and all, but it's out. The cat's out of the bag. The horse has left the barn. That's going to stick. That moniker is going to stick with you the rest of your life, and that may not be all that long. And being that you're in your 80s, I don't wish you any harm, but you're going to have to live with that for the rest of your life, Chuck Grassley from Iowa. Shame on you. And just to be honest, let's say shame on all the people who voted on this tax bill without any debate, just brought up at the last hour. It's so unconstitutional in the way it was handled. And it was brought up with very scurrilous means without anybody being able to read it. 500 pages, right? Who can read that? And then and all that's written in there is to take away medical for 13 million people. It just goes on and on. The nightmare list is this tax bill. A nightmare for the middle class, the working class, and the poor, the elderly, the disabled, you name whatever group. Unless you're in the billionaire class, there's going to be, you're going to be bleeding from your. Anyway, it's not going to. They're going to be taking money from you, and it's not going to be a good thing. So this is the media distortion, and it's not the media. It's all of these tweaks and Twitters and freaks from the White House throwing out all this stuff, and yet we have a general that was on the transition team of this White House group, who has pleaded guilty to a felony. Now that's not made up. That's not fake news. He pleaded guilty, all right? Now why did he plead guilty? This is the constitutional question. Why did a general who was part of the White House transition team, and actually in the first month or so was part of the White House, why did he plead guilty to a prosecutor, investigator that was commissioned and appointed actually out of the executive? Why did this general plead guilty? Why did he plead guilty? Some people say it's to protect his son who may go to prison for similar unknown activities. But they say, you know, where there's smoke, there's fire, or there's plenty smoke coming out of there. So having done kind of a look at the week's news or the month's news or and then heard the news today, oh boy. I heard the news today, oh boy. And that's just on 5 or 6 levels. The constant pointing of the nuclear gun. When you point the nuclear gun, that's not much different than shooting the nuclear gun. And we have two basically dictators, one dictating to the other to buckle under, pointing the nuclear gun at each other and threatening each other with annihilation. That is the U.S. president and whatever you call the North Korean dictator. And they're both playing nuclear roulette. And when you point the nuclear gun, that's not much different than when the gun goes off. There's a certain action-reaction pattern. So that's another mind fuck from the White House, is to keep people in eternal adrenaline fear, and so that they don't respond to all the shenanigans and the Ponzi schemes and the three-card money and the shill game that's been going on behind the curtains while all these threats are going on. Keep people in fear, disconnected, and all the hate language coming out. So you get the political base hating people of color, hating gender, people of different sexual orientation. So you get that fear going and hate going. So you distract them from ripping them off and stealing from them so that they're totally disempowered. That's another form of genocide, is hate speech. And we have a slow time-release genocide going on with this tax bill, slowly taking money from the health care and the food, WIC programs, the grad students, so people don't have food and clothing. So that after a while they get sick and die. And that's not just young people or old people, it's young people, it's babies, it's kids, it's people of all stripes, all colors, races. If you happen to be in that group, which may be the collapsing middle class, the working class, the poor, then that's 50, 60, 70% of the population. That's an intentional, direct setting an intention of genocide on more than half the U.S. population. Now you got to think about these things. These are heavy games these people are playing with our lives, and they're doing it on a daily basis. Usually you have one crisis, and that will take up 5 or 6 months. Well, guess what? All the Goonies are out, all the gods are out, and we're dealing with every day a crisis, not just once a month or once every 6 months. We're dealing with a crisis 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 crises a day. Call it the Middle East crises, call it Jerusalem. Well, it's interesting in this time, right? We're in the holiday season, the season of Festival of Light, the sacred season of the year, and they're talking about Jerusalem, and that's like unbelievably disrespectful to people of any religion. to be even talking about that this time of year. But to use it for political means, to move from what would be considered an economic city, a city of business and commerce, which is Tel Aviv, into the sacred site of the Holy of the Holies for three of the major world religions during this sacred season is beyond abomination. And in certain religions, that's called a sacrilege. And when you perform a sacrilege, that's worse than what is known as a mortal sin. That moves into the area of cardinal sin, which is like mortal sins can be forgiven, but cardinal sins cannot. And instead of this Jerusalem stuff, there actually is New Jerusalem walking in this world. Call it New Atlantis. This is the dispensation we are moving into. We surrender to a higher good, and we're moving into a new era, a new dispensation. And that is through surrender of our old self, our ego, into the higher good of all of humanity. For all of humanity, the red, blue, black, white, yellow nations of the entire earth, the hoops of all the nations. And that is the dispensation we're walking into. So that is the new Jerusalem, the hope of New Jerusalem, the hope of the sacred season of the Festival of Lights, the advent of a new day. And this is a journey of forgiveness and also reconciliation and thanksgiving. Could call it regeneration, rebirth, the season of rebirth. So the sacred is imminent and eminent and is all around us. And we're in the moment of it. We're being surrounded. We're in that moment. And to call anything related to that kind of season into a profane world of the secular, political, that is going to fall on deaf ears in the higher realms of the celestial choir. So this will be dedicated to restoration of the balance. Having said the different levels that we are dealing with, each and every one of us, dear friends, and so do not feel alone. You are not alone, and there is hope. And yes, this tax bill can be defeated, and yes, we will prevail, and yes, the center holds, even in this dark time. Take your broken heart, make it into art. The land this is written in, like I mentioned earlier, this is kind of a looking back through the time of this entire year and doing a reprise. And this is a reprise. This was written in April of this year. See how it feels today. Take your broken heart, make it into art. The land is in early spring. There is a flowering. Trees are in bloom. Lilac fragrance, aphrodisiacs, the commons. When you look up at a tree, that is love. When you look at nature and slowly soak it in, that is love. When you look at nature in that way, this is where we begin, dear friend. Moving down time to a slow roll. And the peace walk slowly moves through the Iowa spring, doing its dancing, doing its remembering, dear friend. There is a grace at this pace. Exodus for Jah people. This is Exodus for Jah people. It exudes fragrance all over the place. This is love. Show me the way, great mystery. Place my feet upon the beauty way. This very day, right here, right now. Hold your head up. Keep moving on and on and on and on. Hold your head up. Keep moving on and on and on and on. Press on toward the dawn of this deep, dark night. This is where we start. let us plant a tree in this asymmetry. Now, in this Kairos moment, we take our broken heart. In this crisis, lay the Kyrie of opportunity. Look around. Caribou and wapiti begin to appear, elk and caribou, and a black bear is loping across the land of Black Earth, Iowa. In this April Eostar time of new beginnings, rebirth, redemption song, a resurrection of a broken heart, where we take this heart and to begin to make art. Find your niche when there's nothing left, where we begin to mend our broken wings. These are the song lines upon the land, dear friend, sung through the symphony of the heart land, where we mend and begin to begin again, anew, renewed through beginner's mind, to reclaim our land, to reclaim our dream. In this flowering, in this upstart spring, taking the largest stride of soul humanity has ever taken. Happy New Year. That was the Lunar New Year, 2017. Take your broken heart, make it into art. We've slowed down time from this mind race of the pace of the mind thought coming out of DC, the Beltway. We're slowing it down to a flowering and a heart song of the heartland. Take your broken heart, make it into art. The land is in early spring. There is a flowering. Trees are in bloom. Lilac fragrance, aphrodisiacs, the commons. When you look up at a tree, that is love. When you look at nature and slowly soak it in, that is love. This is where we begin, dear friend, moving down time to a slow roll, and the peace walk slowly moves through Iowa spring, doing its dancing, doing its remembering. There is a grace at this pace. Exodus for job people. It exudes fragrance all over the place. This is love. Show me the way, great mystery. Place my feet upon this beauty way, this very day, right here, right now. Hold your head up, hold your head up, hold your head up, keep looking up, keep looking up, keep looking up, keep moving on and on and on and on. Press on toward the dawn, keep moving on and on and on and on. This is where we start. Let us plant a tree. In this asymmetry, now, in this Kairos moment, we take our broken heart. In this crisis, lay the Kyrie of opportunity. Look around. Caribou and elk are begin to appear. And a black bear is leaping across the land of Black Earth, Iowa. In this April Eostar time of new beginnings, rebirth, redemption, a resurrection of a broken heart, where we take this heart and begin to make art. Find your niche when there's nothing left, where we begin to mend our broken wings. These are song lines upon the land, sung through the symphony of the heart, sung through the symphony of the heartland, sung through the symphony of the elders and ancestors of the heartland, sung through the symphony of the seventh generation yet to come of the heartland, where we mend, begin to begin again, anew, renewed, through the beginner's mind, of concern for the seventh generation yet to come. We step forward boldly with courage to reclaim our land, to reclaim our dream, to reclaim our truth. In this flowering, in this upstart spring, taking the largest stride of soul humanity has ever taken. Happy New Year, dear friends. Happy New Year, dear ones. Take your heart, take your broken heart and make it into art. So this is, there is a really cool card company called the Leaning Tree Card Company. I think in all the seasonal times when you send out cards for Christmas and Hanukkah and the winter solstice and Yule and Wiccan celebrations, the Leaning Tree cards of nature, especially out west, Colorado, Montana, Wyoming, Arizona, California, Utah, Nevada, New Mexico, anywhere beyond the 100th meridian. It's the coolest, most beautiful cards, most inspiring. They live in your heart. So if you haven't gotten a Leaning Tree card, would you please look them up and check them out? Because some of the most beautiful art, photography, and paintings are in Leaning Tree cards. Well, this is kind of a fractal of that spirit, of the joy of the eternal renewal of the West, the eternal renewal when you are in the West. Leaning Tree. Well, I'm sitting against a leaning tree at Scattergood, Hickory Grove Cemetery, cars, Scattergood School in West Branch, Iowa. Well, I'm sitting against a leaning tree at Scattergood Quaker School, Hickory Grove Cemetery. Cars and trucks and who knows what else are spinning down I-80, 20 feet behind me and literally 20 feet away at 70 to 80 miles an hour while I sit in this cemetery and pray. Tires are singing off the concrete of I-80 in this Sunday morning reverie hum. Om goes the universe in whichever way you want to spin. The depth of the emerald green in early July, this 9th day, Sunday, early July, 2017. This emerald green deepens the inner emerald spin. It's kind of singing out loud, clear up into the great blue overhead, holding the whole thing together in this divine sunshine of life. In this divine sunshine of life, this Turtle Island mind of the North American continent, this Turtle Island mind of loving kind, the birds hold this Holy Communion together. Last night at midnight, a midnight black bull at full moon, midnight, stopped me in my tracks just behind the Friends Chapel, just looking into the unknown presence of depth and void and the great Milky Way. This wholeness church of balance and bliss stops me every time, for nothing here suggests this. You just have to climb. We sang by the fig tree, suggested by Stephen Canner's dance, Requiescat in Pace. We sang by the vine and the fig tree. We made our own tracks here. We make our own tracks here, very much as part of the language of one of the 4 root races that are emblazoned on the peace pole in front of the Friends Chapel, planted by the Great Peace March reunion in 2016 from all 4 directions, the wisdom seekers, the spirit keepers, the keepers of the flame, planted a peace pole here, and we make our own tracks here, right upon the peace pole, whether in silence or communally, washing our spirits clean, renewed by all this bliss, accompanied by eternal rattle, hum, and hiss of the screaming tires off the cars speeding at 70 to 80 miles an hour on this Sunday morning, I-80, West Branch. Ah, om, om, ah, hum, ah, human, ah, om, ah, home, ah, ho. So this is composing a poem in midair from room number 3 at the girls' dormitory to outside in the cemetery of Scattergood Friends School, sitting against a leaning tree, a leanin' tree. And this leanin' tree sings to me. Well, I'm sitting against a leanin' tree at Scattergood, Hickory Grove Cemetery. Cars, trucks, and who knows what else are spinning down I-80, 20 feet behind me at 70 to 80 miles an hour, tires singing off the concrete in this Sunday morning, reverie hum. Ah, reverence for trees. Ah, reverence for this leanin' tree. Om goes the universe, in whichever way you want to spin. These cars are in reverse in this omniverse. The depth of the emerald green in this early July Sunday morning, July 9th, deepens the inner emerald spin. It's kind of singing out loud, clear up into the great blue and the puffy white clouds overhead, holding the whole thing together in this divine sunshine of life. In this divine sunshine of life. The Turtle Island mind of the loving kind, the birds hold this Holy Communion together on the telephone line. Last night, a midnight black bull. At midnight, a black bull in the full moon appeared and stopped me in my tracks, right in front of me from out of nowhere, behind the Friends Chapel, just looking into the unknown presence of depth and void. This wholeness church of balance and bliss stops me every time, for nothing here suggests this. You just have to climb. We sang by the vine and the fig tree, suggested by Steve Canner's dance. We make our own tracks here, whether in silence or communally, washing our spirits clean, renewed by all this bliss, accompanied by eternal rattle, hum, and hiss. Ah, hum. Ah, human. Oh, so human, fragile, fragile, fragile. Ah, om, ah, home. And this, a companion piece in that soliloquy, is as we continue to grow into old growth mind. As we continue to grow into old growth mind, this Sunday morning at the Hickory Grove Meeting House, I'm already rebirthing myself in next year's flower. Yes, this same July 9th Sunday morning, sitting here at the Hickory Grove Meeting House on outdoor porch, on robin egg blue bench, in front of the peace pole with animal tracks and botanic symbols, flowerings of close encounters of the loving kind. who circled and then swirled out the prairie prayer to the omniverse, the hymn of the universe, this great blue sky Sunday morning, a coming to prayer and reflection, who passed here, their presence felt and kept here, and kept here. Here, in this depth, we note and celebrate in reverence all who have passed here before, all the elders and the ancestors, and friends and loved ones, all who have passed here before, gone through those doors, heaven sent to bless us now, knowing that we have stopped here, knowing that we have stopped here to be present to their presence, in their presence, and reflect, and yes, genuflect, on the overwhelming beauty of the gift of their ways, and simply say, it's a joy to be brought into your presence here in this Sunday morning bird song, bird bath, splash of wonder in this holy water of the baptism of grace. This is as we continue to grow in old growth mind. Sunday morning at Hickory Grove Meeting House, Scattergood. I'm already rebirthing myself in next year's flower, sitting here at Hickory Grove Meeting House, on the outdoor porch, on Robin Egg Blue Bench, in front of the peace pole with animal tracks and botanic symbols, flowerings of close encounters of loving kindness. Who circled, then swirled out a prayer to the omniverse. This great blue sky, Sunday morn, is a coming to prayer and reflection of all who have passed here, their presence felt and kept here. Their presence felt and kept here. Here, in this depth, we note and celebrate in reverence all who have passed here before, gone through those doors, heaven sent to bless us now, knowing that we have stopped here to be present to their presence and reflect with respect and reverence on the overwhelming beauty of the gift of their ways, and simply say, it's a joy to be brought into your presence here in this Sunday morning bird song, this bird bath splash of wonder. Baptism of old growth mind. Aho. These are a few. This was written July 9th, and as one would say, it's a reprise. As you, this is one written in early January on January 11th. Send your eyes into the future. Send your eyes into the future, looking for what you can gather. Gather up silica from the beach. Send it to other shore. With your pail and shovel, you picked it up from Atlantis in the ancient future playground of time. New Atlantis, walking in this world. New Jerusalem, walking in this world, in this womb of time. In the ancient future playground of time, where humanity delights as homo ludens. Send your eyes into the future. Gather all those you love and hold dear, and shelter them here. Send your eyes into the future. Gather your warrior tribe, bring them here. Send your eyes into the future. Gather your ships, your mounds, your pyramids, your monads, your nadas, your nomads, your hologram, your cone of power, your gravitas, and bring them here. Send your eyes into the future. Gather etheric, hermetic, and Essene scrolls and bring them here. Gather them well, roll them up as scrolls. Send your eyes into the future. Gather your sacred memory, your Akashic, your Anasazi, your Zohar, your Anawim, your Anima Mundi, your Axio Mundi, your Anishinaabe, your Ashkenaz, your Sephardic, and bring them here. Send your eyes into the future. Gather your Heart Sutra, your Bodhi tree, your jewels of light, your bevels of light, your gnosis, your enlightenment rod, and bring them here. Send your eyes into the future. Gather your seraphim, seraphic fire, Sephardic, and bring them here. Send your eyes into the future. Gather all dispersed energy, Nawal and Tonal, and bring them here. Send your eyes into the future. Gather the heart wings dances of universal peace, planetary plenty, compassion for all sentient beings, and bring them here. Send your eyes into the future. Gather lightning in blue sky and bring it here. You'll know why in the by and by. Aho. And the rainbow was so fine in this good morning cabin. Send your eyes into the future. Send your eyes into the future, looking for what you can gather. Gather up silica from the beach, on the beach, and send it to yonder shore. With your pail and shovel, you picked it up from Atlantis, an ancient future playground of time where humanity delights as homo ludens. Send your eyes into the future. Gather all those you love and hold dear and shelter them here. Send your eyes into the future. Gather your warrior tribe and bring them here. Send your eyes into the future. Gather your ships, your mounds, your pyramids, your monads, your nadas, your nomads, your holograms, your cone of power, your gravitas, and bring them here. Send your eyes into the future. Gather etheric, hermetic, and Essene scrolls and bring them here. Send your eyes into the future. Gather your sacred memory, your Akkadian, your Akashic, your Anasazi, your Anishinaabe, your Ashkenaz, your Zohar, your Anawim, your Anima Mundi, your Axio Mundi, and bring them here. Send your eyes into the future. Gather your Heart Sutra, your Bodhi tree, your jewels of light. Sit under your Bodhi tree, your Gnosis, your enlightenment rod, and bring them here. Send your eyes into the future. Gather seraphim, seraphic fire, and bring them here. Send your eyes into the future. Gather all dispersed energy, Nawal and Tonal, and bring them here. Send your eyes into the future. Gather heart song, heart-wing dances of universal peace, planetary plenty, compassion, and bring them here. Gather your eyes and send your eyes into the future. Gather lightning in blue sky and bring them here. You'll know why in the by and by. And the rainbow was so fine in the good morning cabin. Aho. So these are this is like a reprise looking at what we've written this year, sharing it with the GreenFire consciousness. The lion while hunting doesn't roar. What's in our heart? That's the age of this, June 25th, not the age before or the age after. It's this, the age of now. Let's celebrate this, dear friend. It is no less, no bless oblige. It's the age of queer, the age of the heart, not man apart. It's the queer age, the heart age, in the heart of darkness. Queer age, courage. The strength to mount up on Helios steed on this summer solstice and soar with queer above Mount Olympus on our going to the sun trail. All hail, something greater than ourselves, yet it is in this silence that we exist for this deed. It is in our crouch, in our haunch, in our angle of repose. Here we are, stalking out in the wild, not even cracking twigs, up long meandering mountain trails. We stop at waterfalls for a cool, refreshing sip and a dip. We're in total immersion, total synaptic involution in serendip. No one, not even the ruby-throated hummingbird gets a whiff of this. We are tracking in silence, checking the signs, telltale signs. This is part of the divine design. This ain't easy and yet essential. We are slipping in on the pause of silence. The silica makes no imprint of our presence. We are poised in equipoise without any noise. For you see, dear friend, the lion while hunting doesn't roar. The lion while hunting doesn't roar. Very simple. It's like it is growing roses on icebergs. The lion while hunting doesn't roar. What's in our heart? That's the age of this, not the age before or the age after. It is this, the age of now. How now, going through the sun. Let's celebrate this, dear friend, in this summer solstice. It is no less, noblesse oblige. It is the age of queer, the age of the heart, not man apart. It's the queer age, the heart age in the heart of darkness. Queer age, courage, the strength to mount up on Helios steed and soar with queer above Mount Olympus on our going to the sun trail. All hail, Atlantis, something greater than ourselves, yet it is in the silence that we exist for this deed. It is in our crouch, in our haunch, in our angle of repose. Here we are, stalking out in the wild, not even cracking twigs, up long meandering mountain trail. We stop at waterfalls for a cool, refreshing sip and a dip. We're in total immersion, total communion, harmonium mundi, Anima Mundi, Communia Mundi. We are in total immersion, total synaptic involution in serendip. No one, not even ruby-throated hummingbird, gets a whiff of this. We are trekking in silence, checking the signs, telltale signs. This is part of divine design. This ain't easy. And he's my brother, and yet essential. We are slipping in on pause of silence. The silica makes no imprint of our presence. We are poised in equipoise without any noise. For you see, dear friend, the lion, while hunting, doesn't roar. Aho. So this is a little bit of the song of myself, the song of myself. And we get a sense of the journey here. It's a beautiful journey. And the song, it's interesting how the song goes through the months of the, like, different months of the days. That's very interesting, that is. This is freaking amazing. That's, okay, so here we journey in this regard. We go into the second half of the year, and we take a look around and see where we've been. This is June 28th, a way of being in the world of practice. The artist is a way of being in the world. What is kindling your fire right now? The way of being is the Ancient of Days breathing in sages, hexagrams of I Ching being. The way of being in the world is to put visionary blood and pores through semaphores into higher purpose, to carry it all in Ital forward in a cultural vehicle which will feed the seventh generation yet to come. This is the carrier of the dream wheel. Nothing unreal, everything very real. As restoration of dream time is handcrafted and slowly descends slowly upon Mother Earth. In this awakening, the ascending Earth planet, laughter is the medicine for this emergent planet as its way of being. Troubadours, drummers, dancers are needed for the essential air supply, oxygen for the starving masses in this ascension. The lineage holder is circumspect, not whom you'd expect in this upward circumlocution, not the bankster, the lawyer, the beggarman, the doctor, the thief. This is one who gets a lot of grief and a whole lot of no relief. This is one who actually hears what you have to say, who listens to what wildwood flowers tell him. He shapes and molds it into clay and throws it on the wheel of spontaneity, fires it into the cauldron of uncertainty, stirs it all day for a fortnight round the sun, stirring, spinning, dancing, whirling, spinning, dancing, stirring, spinning, whirling, dancing, while the flames are still melting, burning the dross of all past ages, past rages, past yugas, past ion of time, and birthing onto the scene a new way of being. Ah, the artist, a praxis at practice in the whirlwind. Ah, the artist, a praxis at practice in the whirlwind. So that is the June-July summer solstice dimension. The time-wise, this is Interdependence Day. Interdependence Day. Well, it's Interdependence Day this 4th of July. Harmonic convergence at midday, at noon, at high noon, at high summer solstice noon, at high going to the sun trail noon. This isn't a synergy for hextillions of infidels and hextillions of stars and plenty that want to come. This ain't for no lack of trying, because everyone's made the trek, even from old Trek. Music up here is synesthesia to the ears. You can hear in colors the auras and the auroras of symphonies of beyond the Kali Yuga of time out of mind. Hearts open wide up here at Malheur, west of the Great Divide. A mile high, this is peace spirituality up here, without mentioning it once. It comes from the heart, not man apart, open, wide, and receptive. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the numinous love light of the One. This is a welcome home ceremony up here at altitude, a welcoming Om ceremony at noon on July 4th up here at altitude a mile high. Dear friend, may the pure light within shine love all around you. The rainbow hoops of all the nations are here, singing Om Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Om Namaha Shivaya, Pachamama in Lakesh Alakan. At early morning sunrise ceremony, we smudge and sing Shundahai on the road to Shambhala at Wind's Cave in Pahasapa. We hang no yuck here in this nested reality of dream time, singing, we are all children of God, yes we are. I am, God created me in the light, in the love, in the glory. Here, there are no dead presidents, no dollars, no cents. Only planetary love light singing planetary interdependence. So this is July 4th Rainbow Gathering up in some high mountain pass in a national forest. This one was particularly good. It was up in Colorado. Dr. Doom and other tales of dervish disorder, pictures from the Doom file. The Doommobile rolls on the road, hither, thither, and yon, beyond the great beyond, from rocky flats where Scruggs did a dueling banjo with the Didymus of death up on Tombstone Pass, leaving no stone unturned except row-right stones in redemption song for the ages, sung with tablas and ragas on Rastafari sitars of the real dread, of the reggae of the kind mind, where even the strongest feared to tread, following the madness, clear on out to the void, where only Sekhmet in her Amargosa desert temple raises the Jed and the Jedi light, gathering little lights from nowhere, the Uweepi lights, out here in the starry night, washing the Templars in the Great Basin, climbing Kizilkoga Peak to meet Panayotishan in the Great Crystal Medicine Wheel, where Jack Wilson in Paiute buffalo shirt does the ghost dance, rolling up the Wasichu waves. You can hear people coming in from Wind Cave, dear friend, deep in the sacred Pahasapa, the Sipapu of these worlds, of these words, are little papoose for the 7th generation yet to come. Walk slowly, walk softly on Mother Earth. Walk softly on Mother Earth. Stand up, speak for the people. Cry for vision, be true to your vision. Be strong, keep rain clouds from your eyes. so you can see clearly and speak to the Creator with a good heart. Now, 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 in this Sundance in your heart, Hoka Hey Heshkes, these are waterfalls from the invisible, our summer dream. In mid-jet stream, it's a fountain of consciousness welling up from aquifers deep below the ion of this time. We are beyond the temple gate of tempus fugit, of time flies, way beyond this time-space continuum. Here time flies, doesn't hold a thought form in the eidolons of the winged form of God, nor do flies fill up a July mind. Our inner atmosphere is clear. No thing lives here. The Noah thing from a previous dispensation doesn't inhere nor cohere, yet the covenant exists in here in the arc of the rainbow, and the bridge across forever where nowhere man can stand and find his footing, and fireflies in their biosexual midsummer night flight of delight brilliantly light up his mind in an illumined presence of the One, singing, we are one with the infinite Son, forever and ever and ever. And idolas float with consorts in the etheric overcurrent gondolas, and this goes on and on and on, all along here, dancing and dazzling ecstatic mind fire, crossing unknown cratons to get here, in the telluric dervishes of midair, perpetuating, extending, lavishing in our rainbow gathering of our midsummer night's dream. This spinning mandala wheel is not audible. This fluff and puff is none such stuff. This, dear friend, is the waterfalls from the invisible and waterfalls from the irretrievable, not necessarily your average Joe. Planet Weather Report, July 12th. Well, we've just come from Peace City and all summer of love peace camp on the fertile emerald breast of beautiful Iowa. Rolling Hills, an intentional community farm and commune since 1890. And what you say, do you ask what it is? That this is Scattergood, the former home of Toothpaste Press. Alan and Cinda Kornblum, the creators and editors and participants in the spirit that moves us community, and the actualists of Uptown Bills, who spread their vision, the beauty, their Iowa City Writers Workshop truth through Epstein's and Jim Mulek's bookstore on the legendary South Dubuque Street cultural Bohemiaville of Iowa City. Morty Sklar was a living, brilliant czar who sent out the anthology to all four winds of the red, white, black, and yellow hoops of humanity, sealed with intent of the Iowa City hippie flowering peace vision, a method with a message in the madness. These were devolution angels with an illegal, upright Zen smile, who all the while led a literary luminous light. The same Scattergood lives today. It was a refuge for escaping Jews from Nazi Germany. Walking upon this anointed soil of black fertile earth, one is experiencing rebirth by out of blue experience of pitch black midnight bull of Capricorn full moon rise behind the altar of Hickory Grove Friends Meeting Chapel. Ah, altered state. Ah, amazing grace. Notes from Scattergood. Scattergood everywhere, dear friends. May good be in your heart and in your mind on this near full moon, cold moon night of super delight. So we're entering into the on a whim season, the advent of the little magical child that lives within, that will be at the Bethlehem manger about 2 or 3 weeks from now. And may that sacred child be birthed in all of our hearts and minds, and carry that loving kindness. Because loving kindness is the one thing you can count on. It repeats itself and returns in a good way. So that's the day of this day, Odin's Day. Peace.